The quiet is all around. Silence pours into your ears, the hum of nothing driving you deeper and deeper into the recesses of your mind. But your eyes prick upwards and you realise it's the middle of the day. Life is moving around you. Your head should be screaming with sound, but it's gone. Noise has been cancelled. Welcome to Noise Cancelling, the podcast that has introductions that have nothing to do with what we're talking about. It's Tech Chat, hot, sweet, piping Tech Chat, and we pretend we know what we're talking about. But who are we? Let's find out.
I'm Sherri Smith, editor-in-chief of Laptop Mag.
I'm Basil, a freelance journalist who writes for TechRadar, amongst other titles.
I'm James Peckham, a phones editor for TechRadar. Forgot there for a moment.
And I'm Gareth Beavis, global editor-in-chief of TechRadar. Right, let's talk about the week in tech, guys. That's what we're here for, and that's what hopefully everyone likes to hear about. I'm going to dive straight in. Virtual reality, is it back? Big question. And the answer is maybe. So this week we've had a new concept called XRSpace. Well, I say new, it's sort of been roughly talked about for 6 or 7 months now. And it's by Peter Thiel, who is the ex-head of HTC. And he's come out with XRSpace, which is designed to take virtual reality to a whole new level in theory by bringing us to basically a Ready Player One style world, using a new headset that's powered by 5G, uses Qualcomm technology, hasn't got any controllers, just uses your hands for recognition and moving around the space there, so you can virtually handshake and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, virtual reality, is it really a thing? Basil. Also, hello, Basil. Love to have a little podcast.
Ciao. Hello. Yeah, I mean, did it ever go away? I know it's the early adopter elite still years on, but Vive's still going strong. And that's obviously HTC, Peter Thiel's old company, Oculus, etc. And I imagine in times of isolation, virtual reality has a place like never before.
But I mean, the thing here with this XR space, it's been much vaunted. Well, it's been talked about for a little while and what's it going to be. But what's really different here, that's the difficult thing to look at. You know, obviously being used by 5G is fine, but 5G is not exactly here yet. And we don't really know a lot about this headset, apart from the fact it's got like a pair of weird goggles on the front that like look like weird little fish eyes.
Yeah, I mean, the specs of the headset stack up well. It's light, it's got a high resolution screen, so really, really great pixel per inch clarity levels. The field of view hasn't been outlined, but 702 DPI is fantastic, and a 90 hertz refresh rate as well. So it's appeasing the geeks. But then there's this whole other Black Mirror side of the announcement, which was this like man over world of kind of Second Life. Yeah, that is something, it's an experience that hasn't been really, really successfully put together in virtual reality before.
So, I mean, first of all, we talk about the specs there. We're talking, well, the 90 hertz refresh rate means that the screen will move more quickly in front of your eyes and refresh quicker, so it feels less motion sicky. And that DPI, the dots per inch, means that it's just sharper and sharper. So what you're looking at doesn't feel all blocky and grainy and hopefully feels more like real life. But we've seen this so many times, haven't we, in terms of like PlayStation. Was it PlayStation Home? Was that what it was called?
Yeah. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, multiplayer sort of online, this big Momo thing kind of. And I don't know, it's great that it's got there, but it's, you know, we haven't really seen much in the way of things that you can do, because you're supposed to be able to like hang out with friends in relaxing landscapes or exercise or go walking and biking and do magic Tai Chi sessions, all this kind of thing. But it involves lots of people getting on board and actually going to this space. Have we got a price yet for this headset?
Yeah, I think it's $599, I think.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's still, oh my God, just like someone from HTC. You have to try to make it affordable. Like, so basically, this is a 5G version of the Oculus Go, Oculus's smartphone CPU-powered VR headset, which is focused on entertainment and social and things of that nature. And it was only $299. But again, you got to hit the price point. $599 is not appeal. If you're going for mainstream gamers, $599 is not it, or mainstream users, period. No one's trying to hear that. VR has been around for about solidly for 3 or 4 years now. And HTC, where they are jacking the price up, Oculus/Facebook has been trying to bring the price down. They have to bring the price down. Nobody's going to want to do $599, especially if you're going for mass adoption. That just makes no sense.
But you have to come out with a fairly high price point to start with stuff like this, don't you? You have to make it work. And the people that have tried it, of which there are a few and hopefully will be one of them soon, do seem fairly impressed.
I mean, I'm always I'm a huge fan of VR. VR, MR, XR, AR, whatever you want to call it. And like, I'm with it, but I'm also in the enviable position of getting to play with all the toys. No matter how well I write, and I think I write pretty damn well, I can't really explain to you how it looks or feels. You have to try it. So price-wise, if it's out of reach, we're putting it back into the hands of early adopters, and it doesn't get any traction with mainstream users, and we're still stuck on that Sisyphean hill trying to push the VR stone up the mountain to mainstream adoption. It just keeps rolling back down.
I mean, Basil, you were with me back in, what was it, 2014 or 13? I can't remember now, when the HTC Vive, we first tried it. That was incredible, though. It still maintains one of the best things I've ever done as a journalist was putting on the HTC Vive for the first time, be able to just walk around a space in virtual reality.
Yeah, completely. But the thing with the Vive is obviously you've got it's evolved since then. I remember I think I was like freaking out. I felt like Ariel from The Little Mermaid because I was just in this undersea experience and it was just like my dream. What's happened is HTC's kind of started to go in a more modular route. Announcements at the Mobile World Congress, it never was, etc. And I think it's trying to bring the price down. But VR headsets are sold out everywhere now. So I'm imagining sales of VR doing well. So in that respect, at least, it's the right time to be doing this.
Yeah. Pexy, we haven't heard from you so far. Do you love virtual reality or do you hate it?
I do, but I don't really see the point in this.
Which
for
one?
Me. I love it. I do. Again, like you, I love that first experience when you first walked into Vive in that way. That's not an experience that probably many of our listeners have actually had, I guess, because it's still such a difficult thing to get hold of in terms of the price, and you need space, and you need all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I do love VR. I just don't think this is going to sell any headsets, to be honest. Having a space where you can talk to your friends, like you can do that in Animal Crossing. I know we've spoken about Animal Crossing a lot of this podcast, but you can do that just as well there rather than having to buy your own headset for it.
So what in terms of alternative reality, what does work for that? I mean, obviously the big news, I say news, but the very strong rumor is that Apple is going to go for Apple Glass. It's what it's tipped to be called, according to John Prosser, that now famous Apple leaker. But is that really going to be what happens? Is that going to be the next big step? So where you mix reality with overlays and stuff like that? Is that the future for VR, or is it going to be separate?
Apple definitely want it to be, don't they? They're not trying with VR really at all. They are going all in on AR. They have been for the last few years in terms of AR kit and all of those different tools for developers in that way. Yeah, this latest leak basically suggests that Apple Glass, which we've been hearing about for years, will actually be either being announced late this year at the iPhone 12 event, or it could be pushed back to early 2021. That doesn't necessarily mean we'll be able to try it out anytime soon. It may just be that Apple unveil the kit and tell developers about it, essentially. And it looks like it's going to be around $500, and also it looks like it's going to basically run off of your phone. It's going to be a connection to your phone in that way, which is that's going to be a frustrating element, I think, for many people, because you're going to have to buy a very top end. You're going to have to buy a iPhone 12 Pro Max, as we currently think it's called, to be able to run it.
So basically, we're going backwards, and we're going to accept it because Apple is doing it. Because when Samsung did it with the Gear VR, everyone was flipping. Well, I want to play. But we're like, this is not a step forward. Like, all this is Apple doing what Apple does best, Columbusing the hell out of something. Like, look, we made this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so annoying.
$500 does seem really steep if it is running off of your phone.
$500 plus the $1,200 for that phone.
There's a few tech elements. There'd be like the I genuinely don't know how to pronounce this. The LiDAR sensor, the LiDAR scanner that we've seen in
LiDAR,
the iPad cover. Yeah, LiDAR. That will be part of it. But yeah, it is essentially a pair of frames. And then also if you're getting prescription lenses, that will be on top of it as well.
Oh my god.
How else could you pronounce LiDAR?
LiDAR.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Oh.
Let's think back to like why Apple can do this. Apple can do this because it's Apple, whereas HTC's like founder Peter Chow or old CEO, his company, no one's heard of this. You're expecting people to drop, at least HTC was a known entity, Oculus was a known entity. You're expecting people to drop $600 on a device that's effectively, again, like I said, the video looks like an Indiegogo campaign. It's really promising from a tech point of view. People haven't used it, but you don't need a base station to track your hands and legs. That's like unheard of. And so if they can pull the tech off, that'll be a different story. But as it stands, there's just too much that's unsubstantiated.
That's not unheard of. Oculus Quest is doing that. I will not allow this Oculus slander.
Oh.
Oculus Quest has been doing that for like a year or some change now. And now to sweeten the power, it's like, oh, well, if you want to boost the power, here, put a USB cord in, plug it up to your desktop or your laptop, get a little bit more power, get a little bit like, Oculus has been at the forefront of this, powered by Facebook, and they still haven't gotten like a foothold in mainstream adoption yet. And the other point I want to make, Second Life, where the hell have you been during this whole VR thing? Because I thought that Second Life would have been the first community to be like, yeah, let's get on this. I am so shocked that we've got Minecraft, we've got AAA game companies like Insomniac and Ubisoft making games for it, but Second Life has not made the leap to VR.
Who believed that we got a Half-Life game before we got Second Life in VR?
I think you'll be glad to know that Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs is going to launch with the XRSpace, so at least that void is filled.
But I mean, going back to the Apple Glass as well, it's an interesting concept because, yeah, I mean, I know $500, blah, blah, you know, as a kind of, you need a phone, etc. I mean, it's just the Apple Watch all over again. You know, it's a second screen in a different place. Now, the problem here is that I was one of the first people, humble brag, I'm sure Sherri, actually you probably were too, who tried the AirPods for the first time, like in the world. And walking outside for the first time with AirPods in my ears, I felt horrendous. Like I can't do this. Everyone's looking at me like, one Apple wanker. And I found it so difficult. And can you imagine that plus glasses, and everyone's going to know you're wearing Apple glasses because they'll clearly have some sort of branding and there'll be thick rims. And
we also have to think about the Google Glass failure and what Apple Glass is going to mean and how are they going to operate differently than Google so we don't get a resurgence of the glass holes. I liked Google Glass in theory, but like the privacy issues and the filming and and in the States, you've got a lot of places that you can kind of film upskirt cameras, videos because there's no real laws on the books. Because if you're outside, you can be filmed. As much as I am excited about the glass, I'm not excited about having Steve Jobs glasses per se, but I do hope that Apple is thinking about this before they launch. Like, Apple tends to be pretty studious with things of that nature, but I just do not want a resurgence of this, especially now when we're talking about the U.S. Senate and Congress basically talking about, oh, well, you know, we can look through your web history without a warrant and things of that. I need there to be some real privacy concern laws or rules or how we're going to interact with this.
But with the Apple Glass, though, the idea is there isn't going to be a camera on the front, apparently. Like the LiDAR sensor will not be a camera, it'll be a depth perception device. So you can see possibly where your hands are, what things are in front of you, and be able to recognize objects but not film directly, which should overcome that problem. And yeah, you're right. The whole glass hole thing was a big problem, and I feel that we've had many years since then. The fact is no one's done a similar thing. But if Google Glass had come out as a pair of spectacles, would we have a very different world? I mean, Google didn't want to. Google didn't want to sell Google Glass in the first place. It did it because people kept going on about it, and they made it really expensive just for those that really truly did, and still loads of people bought it.
Yeah, all of Google's successes are in terms of software, but Apple's been able to do it with hardware in a way no one else has in terms of normalizing. Like, you just watch RuPaul's Drag Race, and like the panel is just like rocking Apple Watches, all of them, and like now that's the norm, and they're clearly these conscious, fashion forward people who are just loving their like straps, their pride straps, etc. It's really like Apple's tuned in. So if anyone can make it work, obviously, exactly like you said, Sherri, Columbusing everything, it's going to be Apple.
But talking of that, one of the brands that does a similar thing in the fitness world is Garmin. It's one of those things. The byword for the fitness community is like your Garmin, instead of your running watch, etc. But obviously they have done a lot of great things as well in that. One of the most recent things is this solar glass, by chucking solar glass on the front of their new Venue watch. It's not the first time I've done it. We've done the 6X Solar. I've tried it out. And it's a weird one, right? Because, solar glass on anything would be amazing because it's basically extending your battery life for free with the sunshine. But, in this case, the Venue can last from 21 days normally to 24 days by having this extra solar glass. And that's only in sort of super, super brilliant conditions. If you've got like good, strong sunlight all the time, if you're saying you're doing a desert race, it'd be perfect. But I don't know, does anyone really feel like this is a real step forward, or is it still waiting for the future to turn up? Everyone's looking blankly like, yeah. We're still waiting.
It's a nice additional extra, isn't it? As you say, like if you're doing a desert race or something like that, this is a nice little thing to just like have in your back pocket, sort of thing. As a not literally in your back pocket, but like having that as a little bit like, oh, I've got 3 extra days from this, but I don't think it's going to sell the watch to anyone unless it's a very specific use case. Really,
that's the opposite though, because a lot of people I know have said, well, oh, should I get this because I want solar power? I can use it for longer. And it's like, well, it's 21 days in smartwatch mode. If you don't do anything with it, it's like an extra, I think, 3 or 4 hours, if lucky, on GPS, which is actually quite a lot, I suppose, if you're in some sort of race situation. But I spoke to them about it, and it's a separate, basically a layer behind the glass. So it's not the glass itself, but it's another layer that sort of attracts in extra power. How long before we see this in smartphones and tablets? Obviously, Sherri, you talked before about Microsoft putting into Surface products, right? It's like not this solar glass, but like solar panels and stuff as a possibility.
Yeah, I feel like these are I love the environmentally minded thought process of this, but it does kind of remind me of old school Casio calculators.
And that's great.
It makes the nerd bully in me want to just give me your lunch money, give it to me now. I as a chunky girl, I'm like Garmin running. What is this? Personally, no knowledge whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that Garmin's the brand to do this because the person who will care about those extra 3 days is someone who's going to do a month-long kind of adventure trail type thing. But if it's going to increase, if it has no impact on the price, also great. But if you give someone an option between paying an extra $100 and having 3 extra days battery when it can already do 21, which is already impressive, I'm guessing most people will just want a cost saving.
And that's essentially what they did with the 6 Pro Solar, wasn't it? I think it was an extra 200. Yeah, it was about $200 extra or so to be able to get that solar functionality, which really is there's a very small market out there for that, I think.
But it's so cool though when you look at when it shows you the battery and it shows solar charging. Yeah,
and that's the market.
The thing is, Garmin especially is aimed at people who are sort of this is not me, by the way, who are who have become a bit more cash rich and wondering what to spend their cash on. They got into fitness and they just want to buy toys and things like that. It's very much the market for it. And like I said, there are lots of people I know who are like, I'm just going to buy it because I want it, even though you've told me not to get it. It's basically also the same every time an iPhone comes out. I'm like, the 6S is not really the phone that you think you probably need. They're like, well, I've kind of bought it because I just want a new Apple thing. Yeah, all those people that bought Powerbeats Pro and then decided to buy the AirPods Pro as well. I'm like, you don't need both. They're like, well, I've kind of bought them. So anyway, so Basil, let's talk to you again about something that you care about deeply, the US-UK divide.
Well, I obviously care about it just insofar as I'd like to live in America one day, but that's not going to happen until someone's out of office. Anyway, enough about politics.
When you say someone's out of office, like you're going to go over there and someone's on holiday.
oh. Turn on notifications. I want that notification. Right, back to this. So we've got the Moto. I'm pointing at it because everyone on the podcast can obviously see what I'm doing. But for those at home who can't, I've got the Motorola Moto Edge in my hand, which is their latest phone. It was launched in its flagship configuration, the Edge Plus in the States, which has the latest Snapdragon 865 chipset. And it was launched in the UK in the lower end configuration, which is effectively a mid-range spec device with a Snapdragon 7 series processor. And I actually think that the UK variant or the Edge, the regular Edge, which will be launching in the States eventually, is a smarter one to go with because it comes in at under £550. It packs the exact same design as the top tier flagship device. It's beautiful, really, really like bold curved screen, glass and metal design, but it comes in with a low price tag and the performance is still as good as most people need it to be. So yeah, I think Motorola's just made its own OnePlus, potentially OnePlus Beta.
So beta is in like alpha beta or like beating it?
Beta as in whoosh.
Good.
But that's in the UK. So in the US, you're paying over $1,000 for this flagship that can't compete with other flagships because other $1,000 plus phones are made by Apple, are made by Samsung, who've been making OnePlus $1,000 phones for a while. This is Motorola's first flagship in about 4 years. So Motorola's clearly out of practice at the flagship game, but what this is really showing us is it knows exactly what it's doing in the mid-range segment.
But Sherri, in America, Motorola has a different cachet, doesn't it, to what we might have in the UK and other parts of the world? No, sorry, I'm sorry. I wish I hadn't said anything.
I like when I hear Motorola, I just think about like how far it's kind of fallen, and I just wish it could get back to its glory. There used to be a time when I used to be really, really excited about Moto phones. Like when they were doing the modularity and you could customize your own phone. I had one with the wood grain and like the engraving, and then another one with the like red nubuck leather, and it was all sexy. And then Google decided, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. Hey, Lenovo, you want to buy this? And Lenovo was like, sure. And then it was like, like the engine.
But Sherri, if you were going to get a phone for your mum or dad who weren't necessarily tech savvy, or you're going to suggest a phone for a friend's mum or dad in the States, would it also be a Motorola phone?
No, because I'm trying to do this with my Nana now, and every time I go home, which hasn't been a while because of this current situation, but when I do go home, she asks me, A, about getting a new phone, and B, getting a new laptop. Motorola never comes up in that conversation because of pricing.
Okay.
Like, she's a senior citizen, she's on a fixed budget, she looks for those senior plans, so Motorola is never, ever in the conversation. So I don't get, like, I really would have get her a jitterbug, but like she feels the jitterbug is beneath her. Like she is senior citizen, but she is not old. So that is beneath her.
Got it.
So we typically are looking at Samsungs or some other name brand, some other no name nonsense no phone that's on the list of senior phones.
Got it. Here, like Motorola kind of has the monopoly on quality assured budget phones. So like you've got £100, you've got the G series, you've got the E series, and none of them are mind blowing, but they're all at least good for what you're paying, and they run stock Android, so they're clean, customizable, etc.
Sherri, would you say that Motorola is like a barbecue or a grill?
No, because my grill that I just bought is freaking awesome. Thank you for that segue. I just kicked that bad boy up yesterday. Made some steaks, made some brats. I'm going to put some pork chops on it tonight. Get some sweet corn. It's going to be a feast.
But I think it is exactly the same, because in terms of like the US versus UK versions, if we have a barbecue, it's very different. It's just like if you said give me all that food, I'd be like, right, okay, I cook it in very small portions because there's never enough space, and do it all badly, and then most of it be cold.
Yeah.
That's how we do it over here. I mean, the barbecue revolution is slowly creeping across, which is great, but in general, a barbecue in England is more of an event rather than a meal. You know, it's.
But that's the beauty. That's the beauty of this. I've got a wood pellet grill. I actually invested in a Pit Boss Pro Series 800.
800, wow.
Yeah, nobody knows what that means. But basically,
you didn't go for the 1000 series. Fair enough.
There is a 1000 series. So supposedly this can fit up to 42 burgers on the grill. Yeah, I know.
What?
Go big or go home, America. But I'm really excited about it because, like, since I'm going to be in this summer due to social distancing, I'm going to learn how to smoke me some brisket. And if I get good enough, I might start selling plates of brisket. Stay tuned for Sherri Smith's side hustle, editor-in-chief and barbecue brisket maker. Who knows?
I've been trying to take on brisket and turn it into Xbox Series X. Can't do it.
I mean, well, the way to do that is, speaking of tasty brisket, let's talk tasty Xbox news. Boo.
But I wouldn't call this tasty. I'm confused about whether this is even news. Like, the pre-order page for the Xbox Series X has gone live, but you can't pre-order it, so it's just the internet's got another page on it.
I mean, it's news because it means that we're one step closer to finally getting a price on this thing. We said,
which is exactly what I said to Gerald this morning, and then he said, "Yeah, but we're also one step closer because time passes." And I was like, "Actually, that's a very good point."
touche. But it's just one more way for Xbox and PlayStation, because PlayStation's done the same thing, to ratchet up the hype machine. Like, oh my God, it's coming! PS5 has been in the news for not so savory rumor that it's going to cost $650 at launch, which is making a lot of people balk. This has not been substantiated yet, but I always thought that we were going to cross that $600 mark eventually with consoles. But I don't know if this is the generation. I don't know if, especially now that we're going through this kind of economic, it's just very soft economically all over the place. I don't know if charging $650 for a console is going to work for the holiday season. Like, people are not going to be too thrilled if PlayStation makes that play. Maybe next console cycle, but not this console cycle.
Well, on that note, let's move on to the next section, because we have taken a lot of time to chat about the news. Lots of hungry, hot news barbecue chat this week. Let's just leave. And we are back. Sherri, where are we going?
We're going to the labs. We're going to reviews. We're going to talk about laptops, smartphones, and tablets, and anything else that we choose. Reviews.
In the review lab this week, it's not a lot. Let's be honest. The biggest thing that we've got is from Laptop Mag, Sherri's very own baby, Amazon Crucible. Now, I think a lot of people won't even understand this, Sherri. So, what is it and why?
So, Amazon, many moons back, said, "Hey, we're going to get into games," and we're like, "Pshaw, Amazon, pshaw," and they're like, "No, for real." Really? And we're like, yeah, whatever. We'll believe it when we see it. So now it's time to believe. Amazon has launched its first game. It's called Crucible. It's available now. It's not that it's not good. It's not, but it's also not great either. It's just sitting in that meh corner, which is fine. I mean, for a first game, I mean, it's like a launch title. Launch titles tend to be meh unless you put a lot of work into it. Like, because good Lord, who could forget Rise of Rome on Xbox One when it first came out? That was a horrible game. Horrible game. Oh God, you know what? Maybe I'll do a bad launch title roundup this week. Inspiration. But so back to Crucible. It's basically MOBA meets Overwatch meets a bunch of other popular, like a little bit of Fortnite. Like, Amazon basically said, okay, people like this, and this. Let's put it all in a pot, zhuzh it together, and sell this monstrosity as a game that everyone will like. You've got several warriors, you've got different classes, you've got your typical first-person shooter mode, so deathmatch and all capture the flag and things of that nature. It's just, when you try to do too many things at once, you don't do them well. So this is a middling jack-of-all-trades at best, but it does open the door, like, okay, Amazon has finally made its first game, so let's see what else Amazon has to offer.
But why? But why is Amazon making a game? I don't understand what is it. You said also, the launch titles are often meh. I'm like, this is one of the richest companies in the world, decided to get into games and doesn't make it the world's best game. Like, what gives?
I mean, it's making games is hard. Like I do not envy those folks that have to like do the story. And even with this, they didn't do too much of a story, but like the mechanics and richer studios have tried, like, you know, making a game is a gamble. Like, and once we started losing the bottom, like those mid tier and cheapy studios, once the bottom fell out of those, it's like $1 million game or nothing. So it's just really hard to make those middling games unless you have the grace of being an indie game where people are a lot more forgiving because they realize you've got a small team and you might be doing it by yourself. But when you're Amazon, you've got to come out big, and this ain't it, Chief.
I don't know if I agree. Like Amazon, like as far as I kind of like am concerned, is hedging its bets for streaming, and it just wants to create as many kind of potential things for people to get hooked on so that they can stream them on their Fire tablets going forward when Amazon decides to launch its Stadia competitor and things like that. So and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they went out with a let's make a mediocre game, but I think what Amazon does is volume, and it's going to make a butt ton of games if it can going forward. I may be wrong. This is just like an outsider's view.
Oh no, I agree with that. Like, I think this is a launch title. This is the first step, and like they already work with Twitch. It makes perfect sense for them to start putting out games, but putting out games is different than putting out good games.
Yeah, completely.
You have to put out games that people are going to want to stream. Last night, I watched Mike Andronico, editor-in-chief of Tom's Guide, play MK11 Aftermath for 3 hours. We talked about lore, we went through the story mode, we looked at some friendships, did a couple of fatalities. It was a fun time had by all the MK nerds. Like, I highly recommend you play the game. I love Mortal Kombat, by the way, and I go deep into the lore. Like, I mean, we went Brotherhood of Shadows and Serena, the whole lot. But that's neither here nor there. But the point is, that's a compelling game. Like, you have to make something that's stream-worthy.
For sure. When Amazon has its, like, do you know if it's a rumor? I don't know. Is Amazon working on a Stadia-type competitor?
There was a hot rumor a while ago, like it was a bit of truth in it, but then like the last Airbender, it just disappeared, and the four nations were just confused.
Oh, Aang.
Oh, Aang. Like, back on Netflix. Get your fill, folks. But I mean, truthfully, Amazon is doing all the data serving and all, like, it powers most of the websites on the world now. Like, we're all on their servers. Why wouldn't they do a cloud gaming service?
Yeah. And if they did, and they had a bunch of exclusive titles, and they're kind of like throwing things at a wall right now and seeing what sticks. But we'll see. Time will tell.
Did you say sticks?
Seeing what sticks.
Pexy.
Yeah.
What do you think about selfie sticks?
Lol.
They are an abomination, I think. Selfie sticks. Anyone else have any strong opinions?
I had one for a hot second. It wasn't fun. Like,
Basil, you love selfie sticks now, right?
Well, no, to compound that, what do you think about selfie sticks in lockdown? I'll put that to you, Gareth.
I mean, they're still an abomination. I've never had one. I hate them. I mean, you can add nothing to them to make them better, in my opinion.
Not even a gimbal.
Yeah, this is new information.
I will take that tangent and run with it. So Xi'an, who makes pro-grade camera equipment, has created something called the Smooth X. It's a consumer-focused selfie stick and gimbal.
I wish I just said, like, hey, we're going to talk about the Smooth X now, and you got to write in what you think it is. and nobody would have come up with a selfie stick with a gimbal.
Okay, so this is a 26 centimeter extending stick called the Smooth X.
We'll just cut that bit there. That's it.
Unlike traditional gimbals, it features 2-axis image stabilization as opposed to 3. So it's not claiming to be a stabilization champion like the DJI Osmo Mobile 3, for example, but it's significantly less, and it is also a selfie stick. So for anyone who is in isolation at the moment, who wants to do things like increase their vlogging, I don't know, try and vlog more, whatever it is, this is kind of a really, really like decent option. I reviewed it. I didn't hate it. I was expecting to hate it. And it actually packs a whole bunch of features that you get with gimbals, like face tracking and motion tracking, that you wouldn't get on a selfie stick. So the fact I love it, or no, not love it. The fact I like it.
You said it. Too late. You said it.
Hey, okay. But also coupled with the functionality, it gives me kind of like a degree of comfort that it is more a gimbal than a selfie stick, so I am okay.
Yeah, I mean, this really important thing for lockdown right now. Tell people how you tested it, Basil.
I took a lot of videos of myself with my cats in the garden.
I thought, I meant in terms of running the battery down. Sorry, I mean, you did that too, and it was beautiful, obviously.
So this was actually quite a fun like element of my review process, because I didn't realize it gave me something that I didn't know I wanted. Wait, stop thinking about stuff. But if you get...
Wait, what? Nice.
Oh, jeez. So if you get the premium pack, which does cost $69, it's $10 more. It's $10 more, and you get a tripod. No, you get a tripod as well with this. Why else would you want a selfie stick in isolation? Seriously. So yeah, for all of you with OnlyFans aspirations, this could be perfect. But anyway, so with a tripod and the Smooth X, just plonked on a surface, I'm typing away watching with work or whatever, and I can have my phone being held by this gimbal, and it's always level. And that's how I was doing my battery tests. And I was watching Netflix, and it's really good because I've actually used it with the Moto Edge, which is a really substantial phone. So anything in excess of, I'm trying to avoid using words like big, but anything above 6.6 inches, it can handle. So yeah, it's a really, like, for the price, it's a bit of fun. If you're looking for something for a friend, a loved one, or yourself, and you want to take stable selfie video, it could be the one. Considering what it was, that got a disproportionate amount of airtime.
Let's go to a break.
Can you see how red I am?
And we're back. Let's. We still haven't really got over Basil Smooth X, the 69 premium pack version. But Sherri, come on, where are we going to go now? What should we give to the listener?
Unpopular opinions. Let your head unfurl. We're going to talk about how much we hate selfie sticks, especially if they're $69. Unpopular opinions.
Basil, sing it.
Right back at you.
Oh, that's got weird. So this week, one of the stories that we saw come out was about the Pixel 5 possibly getting rid of a feature that the Pixel 4 had. Was it Pixel 4 or Pixel 4 Apex?
Yes, Pixel 4.
So the ability to wave your hand around above it and control different bits and pieces while not actually have to touch the phone. Some people have said a really great thing in the coronavirus world. Other people have seemed to be quite happy that it's gone. I'm very much firmly on the second side because, Basil, were you in the Samsung Galaxy S4 launch? Did you go to that in New York?
No, I wasn't in the one in New York.
But you watched it though?
Mm-hmm.
Sherri?
Yes.
So for those that weren't hideously scarred by this, it was at a Radio City in New York, and it was a
God, that one! Oh God!
Yeah, so it was a Broadway show to show off the new Samsung Galaxy S4, which is the time when Samsung was trying to say we're very different to Apple, very different indeed. Here's all our new super tech, and one of the things that it had, among many things, including a translation capability only if you had data, and no one really had data back then. It showed like someone in China oh, I can't talk to anybody. I'll translate to this Chinese fellow. And I thought, who's got data in China? But anyway, one of the other key things was it had AirSense, I think it was called, something like that. Air something, and you could wave your hand over it, and you could scroll through your photos, or it could track your head to go up and down on a website. And the way they showed this was to have a group of women having just painted their nails, not be able to show each other their photos. So they're like, "Oh my god, like let's just scroll through without touching." And it was just the most pointless thing anyone's ever put on a phone, and yet people seem to think it's a great idea. I just don't understand it at all in any way, shape, or form.
It's been Huawei has its own version for its devices. Obviously, Google, LG, like you were at Mobile World Congress where you were doing the claw, and like it was like, wow.
And you can turn a 10 volume knob.
No, but you couldn't because it didn't really work. Like, let's face it.
No, and it's just I don't see why people feel the need for this like third dimension technically of phones, where you can depth, the actual thing, where you can just use things like touching it, and just nothing's ever really worked. I mean, Pex, you're the phones editor. You must love every single feature, right?
No, not at all. I don't love every feature. I'm in the same camp as you there, really. Like, I think
this is just a popular opinion now. Brilliant, thanks, guys.
Yeah. No, it's just the four of us, and everyone else loves it. I think I like the idea of the tech, and I think if it worked consistently every single time, it would be a useful feature. But as we've all said, it's the sort of thing that only works half the time, and it really does need to work every single time for it to be part of your daily routine. But then again, 5 years ago, I didn't think I was going to be speaking to my phone, and I'm quite regularly doing that now in terms of when I'm around the house and I want to set a timer. So maybe this is something that would develop over time. But then again,
the thing is, everyone's been using their phones to talk to, but everyone's just setting timers. That's the point. Because you're like, there's so many times you can be on the street and say, "Hey Siri." Okay, the answer is twice before you look like an absolute twat. Like, because I was, when the new Airpods came out and, you had voice control and I was annoyed there wasn't any volume control on them. People said, well, you could just say, "Hey Siri, turn volume up." I'm like, on the train, "Hey Siri, volume up." Everyone's going to look at you like, "What are you doing? Think it's some sort of fancy Dan?"
Sensors on the front of phones aren't bad though. Like, so Samsung did also introduce the eye tracking, so it stays on if it can detect you're looking at it. And also, I don't know if it was Huawei or Samsung,
Samsung had the advert that said, "We watch you while you sleep."
That too, creepy. But having said that, I use it because it works, and I hate it when my phone goes to sleep. I don't like jumping into settings, changing the sleep timer. But also, one of the phones, I think Huawei phones have it, where you're lying on your side and it keeps the phone in portrait orientation as opposed to flipping to landscape because it can detect the orientation of your eyes. Those ones work really well. It's like less active and more passive.
That's another popular opinion. I feel like we've really just got on board with each other and be really good friends today.
Well, I mean, as far as the hand swipe moving, when I do have it on, because I use it sometimes on my Samsung, it works. It does work. Like, I tend to use it like when I'm flipping through a recipe, and like I've inadvertently gotten all the flour and water on my hand, so I've got like glue hand, and I don't want to touch my phone necessarily. So it works on those occasions, but it's not enough to make it like it's one of those. Oh, here's an extra feature to make you say ooh and ah. Now you say it, ooh, ah, and never use it again.
So when we have XRSpace headsets, and we got glue hands, we'll be able to do the same thing there anyway. So basically, the future's fine. So it's all good. Right, I'm going to have to call it there because we have done a lot of chatting about hot tech stuff. So thank you very much, guys. We've done a lovely podcast today. Basil, thank you for being on board.
Thanks so much. I have never blushed so hard in my life.
That's a lie. Also, Basil, you never gave everyone your last name, like you're some sort of Brazilian footballer.
My name is Basil Kronfi, but I'm on Twitter, Basil_nose, as in KNOWS, not the nose on your face.
Pexy, have you had a lovely time?
I have had a lovely time. Thank you for having me again.
And do you want to give out your social details?
Yeah, of course. It's at JamesRWP on Twitter.
And Sherri?
Hello. I am Sherri Smith, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at MISSmith11. So basically Miss Smith 11. And of course, go to Laptop Mag if you want to read the latest on laptops and gaming and anything else that you can plug into a laptop. And as always, laptop before, laptop now, laptop forever.
And if you don't want to chat about laptops, but also do, because we do really good laptop stuff, go to TechRadar for all your latest news news, reviews, features, videos, hot takes, spicy thoughts. We are TechRadar on Twitter. We're TechRadar on Instagram. Basically, just type in TechRadar. There's not a lot of other ones out there. And I'm Gareth Beavis and SuperBeav on Twitter if you want to hit me up. It only remains to say, this is obviously the Noise Cancelling Podcast. We're part of the Audio Boom Originals Network. Please do check out many, many other great originals. Every week I get to this point and realise I should have thought of some new ones and I keep forgetting them. If you do like this podcast, well, actually, this is a point. I keep saying every week, please give us 5 stars on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. You can't rate us on Spotify. My dad phoned me to tell me and said, why don't you have a phone-in section? I said, essentially, Dad, this is that. So you can only rate us on Apple Podcasts. So give us 5 stars there and just subscribe on everywhere else, please. And have a lovely week. And we will speak to you all again soon. Bye.
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 Bye.